Down in the Underbar is a project I've been following since I first heard about it. It's a little film project called My Amityville Horror. Now, some of you may be familiar with the Amityville Horror movies, the books, all these other things. A large part of the books are fabricated, and yeah, no, I'm sorry. Amityville Horror is one of the few cases of poltergeist and paranormal phenomena that I put any stock into because a lot of what they claim happened in that house are things that I've had happen myself. For those of you who are curious, maybe I'll export my playlist about my life with my poltergeist situation there, or at least what I call poltergeist, because I don't have a specific definition for what happened to me. I just know what happened to me happened to me. But watching the latest trailer, link down in the underbar, let it play. It'll because it's a what do you call it? IFC picked up um, picked up this film and will be premiering it on, oh, what do they say on the site? I always forget this. On March 15th. Which I wish I had IFC because I'm curious. After seeing this trailer, it's not quite what I expected. So, what is this movie and why the heck am I babbling on about it? Well, for one thing, it's an interview with Danny Lutz, or Daniel Lutz, one of the kids who was in the house during whatever was happening. And again, the film very much seems to try to keep an open mind, but not try to be swayed by flights of fancy. And I absolutely recommend walking into the film the same way. I've never asked anybody to believe anything that happened to me or that happened at the Amityville house. Um, but I am saying that I do believe at times there is likely to be strong phenomena that isn't just misinterpreted natural phenomena or a draft in the house because of not sealed windows and on and on and on. All the major excuses, though I do believe that as stated in past videos, I don't generally believe in 90% of the ghost stories I've ever read. They don't seem to hold any sway with me, and there are actual scientific explanations in most cases for things like apparitions. And I'm not discounting it. Again, I do believe that there is misinterpretation that goes on in a lot of cases. And when you factor in, as James Randi has talked about, that even the guys who run most of the ghost investigation shows don't actually believe in ghosts. And oftentimes they don't find things. And that a lot of those shows are absolutely scripted. Surprise, surprise. You start to get a bigger picture that there's likely only maybe a small handful of some sort of phenomena going on. And even then, what it is, I don't try to make positive assertions. I've thrown out the word ghost in most cases because I don't generally tend to ascribe to that. Um, and I try to work from a very skeptical angle. I've even tried to be skeptical with my situation, but there's several problems with my situation. It's not just that every member of the family in my house experienced something slightly different, which I don't think is all that damning of evidence that we were all just imagining something. Because I believe whatever was happening in our house, it tends to tailor itself to something that's very personal. That's why it's effective. I mean, I'm surprised I'm half as sane as I am given the things that I experienced in that house. But it's also the fact that friends, family members, neighbors, people not even inside the house would experience things that just are not so easily explainable away. And it's the fact that when my mom started trying to sell the house, she couldn't keep people in that house, whether they knew about phenomena or not, because of something was going on. These people could not handle it. In fact, my mom had several realtors back out of their contracts because they cannot sell that house. Now, I don't know the fate of that house today. For all I know, for all intents and purposes, whatever was going on has been sealed away, or it's faded. It doesn't have any energy left to it, because I've talked about my ideas that some of these things might be beings of energy, because energy can't be created or destroyed, uh, which doesn't necessarily support ghosts so much as it would support some sort of energy something or other. And maybe it's our minds messing with that, interacting with that energy, and there is no technical phenomena, it's just energy anomalies. Again, I don't know. I just know what I've researched. I know what I've tried to find out about my own experiences and came up dry in most cases as far as something that's a hard answer. But I'm not going to shut up, even though I'm a science or GTFO guy in general, simply because I can't put a specific label or labels to what happened to myself and so many other people that involved that specific house that I came in. But at the same time, there are a lot of things that are in just the trailer for this film that is food for thought. And this is why I really want to see this film. It's not just that it's the perspective of somebody who grew up in a house that wasn't all that different from my own, although mine was a lot more extreme, but I digress. It's the fact that people are throwing out challenges to that perception. And I fully admit, I read my textbook on psychology and memory. Memory is a reconstruction, and I never claim that my memories, or the memories, say, of this Daniel Lutz fellow, are absolute proof of anything. As I said, I have tried my hardest to absolutely work within the confines of being a true skeptic, but understanding that there really isn't a lot of explaining away to do with my particular situation, but that nothing I say, nothing I presented in my talks on my experiences, um, substantiate anything whatsoever. I would say the post-traumatic stress disorder that I've had for most of my life since that house is at least indicative that something major happened in my life in that house that was traumatic. But beyond that, I can't prove a darn thing. But you know what? In my case, I don't care. Whether I could ever prove what happened to me or not is of little consequence to me. It's not my life's mission. And at the end of the day, your disbelief in what happened to me in that house, or what happened to anybody else who ever had experiences in that house, doesn't change the facts of what happened. You know, and so I stick by what I remember, because after all these years, it's still so horribly crystal clear. And trust me, I wish I could not have that kind of experience. But at the same time, I think a movie like this could be therapeutic. It could continue to throw out better ideas than what most people have come up with, the few who've ever tried to challenge my perception of what happened. It might be something that could actually help me to unlock some things, or to maybe have a different understanding of things. And maybe on some level what happened to me was completely natural and innocuous. I've never not been open to the possibility of being shown that I'm 100% completely wrong. The only problem is, though, that I have strong experience, which again is not evidence, and crystal clear memory, although memory is a reconstruction, of things that I just, no matter how I try to deconstruct the situation and find the fatal flaw, the weakness of the situation that happened to me since from birth on to age 8 until we finally moved out of that house, when we finally couldn't take it anymore, we finally couldn't get rid of whatever was going on, and anything we tried always made it worse. But at the same time, if somehow I could bring people over to that house someday in my life, and they could absolutely 100% point to what happened, then I would not be the kind of person who would discount another person's expertise. But at the same time, I really don't care. It's not that I don't care about truth. It's that this is such a small part of my life. It's a dramatic part, I admit, and it's part of what's made me a skeptic because it's kept my mind open. But at the same time, at the end of the day, what kind of proof do I have for most of you out there? Nothing. Just my stories and detailed diagrams of my house and all the goings on within it. But beyond that, I got nothing. And at least I'm willing to admit it. But I still put stock in my situation, and I'll be interested to see if I can find a copy of this in and around the 15th, so I can see what they think of what happened to Daniel Lutz and the situations that were going on there.